Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports Sleeper Picks. We are one day away from the NBA Finals. We got hockey coming up, so we'll talk some hockey with GriffyBets. I think that starts on Saturday, I believe. So the usual cast: Josh, Brian, Brad. I guess we'll start, guys. Still got a day of the game, a day until the game. We got tomorrow's show, but I noticed these, and I think these are fun. DraftKings puts up these props, these player milestones. It's almost like the Super Bowl with these exotic props where you can bet these all different ways. And I'm curious what you guys, if you see anything you like, and I'll just sort of throw it to you. There's a couple I like on here, just the basic ones. There's Jokic to average a triple double minus 125, Jokic to outscore Butler in every game, or vice versa, 20-1. There's a bunch of just crazy things here. Is there anything you guys have sort of circled here? Josh, I'll start with you.
I do. I love that stuff too. I got three that I'm looking at. The first is Jokic leading scorer on DraftKings is plus 115, slightly better than FanDuel at plus 110. Really like that. And then Denver, where am I at here? Sorry, my bad. Denver minus 1.5 we were talking about. But then back to the player props. Porter Jr. to lead the series in threes made is plus 380. I really like that. I'm putting 2 units on that. And then I'm kind of hedging it with Jamal Murray at minus 145 to be it, because I really just was like already looking at like, how can I kind of fade the threes for Miami compared to these two? And like for these two, it's going to be one of them. They're both shooting like 7-8 threes a game. They're both at about like 41%. Porter Jr. only has 5 less threes made in these playoffs than Murray. And then you look at the fact that it's just not going to be a Heat player. I don't know how you can like bank on one player on the Heat being the guy to hit like more threes than the other. They have like 6 guys that are all shooting at least 3.5 threes. They've got 4 guys that are making at least 2 threes a game. So it's just going to come from all over from Miami, whereas it's like super potent between 2 players, right? Where all the 3-point volumes coming from for the Nuggets. So I'm kind of playing both those, but the plus 380 for Porter Jr. to do is just way too good when he's only got 5 less in these playoffs, and Murray is a little bit of a hedge to it.
I like that. Let me ask you this, kind of a correlation into your bet or a question into your bet. My odds just disappeared, but okay. So you like Joker, as do I, to lead the playoffs in points. I was looking at this market and my eyes got caught on. Oh, here it is right here. Single highest scoring performance. Do you like that for another player? One game to score the most points in the entire series.
What are those odds at?
What's the bet again? Because I'm not following. I don't
highest scoring single game performance. Joker's plus 135, Butler's plus 170, Murray's plus 200. I don't think we're gonna go much further than that.
That's the problem, is because I was looking at that.
Say,
and that's
200.
Yeah, the problem is once you get past Butler and Jokic, 200 for Murray is like, it's almost
means more, right?
Probably, but yeah, like once you get to Bam, it's plus 2,500. No way. Like at that point, maybe Gabe Vincent put up 28 last series. It's just there's no
28 is gonna get smashed.
28's not gonna get it done.
Yeah,
I don't think you can answer that question until you. I don't think you can solve that problem until you answer the question of how does Miami guard Jokic? Do they just say, "Hey, we'll play you straight up. If you want to get 40, knock yourself out. We're not going to double you and leave shooters open all over the place," or do they, do they double them? Do they mix it up? How do you think they handle them? Because Bam, I don't know if he's strong enough. You're going to have to dust off the Kevin Loves of the world. How does Miami guard him?
I think it's one of those things where we kind of talked about yesterday, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they start playing him straight up and they trust their all-star defender, but they're going to have to make adjustments if it doesn't work, which could be quick. So I do think they start that way game 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think either way, they're going to start one way and have to switch it if it's not working. So probably playing straight up is like the safer of the 2 routes. You trust your guy. There's a reason you have him on your team. You instill the confidence. Then if it's not working, then you switch it up. And listen, I just think I think Miami knows that, they're kind of playing with house money here. So they're going to throw whatever they want at him. It's going to be changing from game to game, trying to mix it up as much as possible. But how do you stop him? Like even when Joker was getting double teamed, like he was still effective. Like,
it's just not that strong. He's got a lot of weight on Bam. He's got a lot of
a lot, and he'll have weight on Bam and whoever else they throw at him in a double team. He'll still be about as heavy as those two combined. Like
who can't play 48 minutes. So like, what happens when Bam sits or Bam gets in foul trouble? You're gonna put on him?
So like that's the question: is that if you're the Heat, you have to match up as best as possible because like Bam should not see a single minute when Jokic is not out there like that. Like that's like the one thing to start. But I was gonna say too is that's why I kind of like the angle of those backdoor cutters, because even if they play Jokic 1-on-1, you have to imagine they're gonna have like some kind of help defense like in like a cheating fashion. Like say if your guy is like Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr., you think if Jokic is in that post up, you almost see that like ball watching when they start drifting over, which is the only way you really can try to defend him, but not saying it's gonna be effective.
You just plant Kyle Lowry right behind him and just try to take a charge on every single what do you do here, man? And like you're saying, like if Aaron Gordon's guarding Jimmy a lot, that's probably likely. But when it's him and Caleb Martin, like he's got 40 pounds on Caleb Martin. Michael Porter Jr.'s taller than the center on the Heat. Like what do you do?
I think they'll try on Jokic. I think they'll try Butler on him at some point. Maybe.
Yeah.
But then you got to worry about foul trouble and wearing him out at the other end.
Yeah,
that's why you're gonna see like he's there. He's just gonna be their safety valve, just like pull in need of a bucket. And it's like, here's 2 points, Jokic against whoever you throw to him.
So it's like it kind of reminds me of like 2 years ago. I think I brought it up with Will before and Brad before, like show a while back. Like that one year when the Suns played the Bucks in the finals. All I thought about going into it was, wow, this is the worst team for the Suns to draw in terms of size and all this other stuff, like with Lopez and Giannis. That's how I feel about this series. The Heat, like this is like probably the worst draw they can probably think of in terms of matching up, because they just don't have the lineup to really put together. They have to be really creative to try to make this work.
So I'm kind of talking myself into this, Will, if I could throw this one out there, because as we're talking about Jokic to lead this series of points, I'm like, yes, more units than I thought. I think as I'm talking myself into it, I think game 3 is going to be this game where like you see the Nuggets struggle on the road a ton, but Jokic doesn't. And that's where he scored 50 points before against Phoenix, right? In this the playoffs already. Any Nuggets player to score 50 in one of these games,
just going to read that.
I don't know why. I just felt like that was such a Will bet. So
where was that at?
Say it. It's on that DraftKings, like the
milestones.
Player milestones.
Okay.
And again, they don't make it easy. There's so many different tentacles and moving parts. If you go to finals and milestones.
The thing
I didn't go that far down. Holy crap.
Butler to score 50 in a finals game, you have to take Butler. You can't take any Heat player. You have to take Jimmy Butler, and that's plus 1,800.
Yeah.
You get plus 1,800 for either Murray or Jokic to score 50, or Kenny Caldwell Pope. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, but one of those two, like, could definitely do it. And Jokic to do it, I feel like, is like a game 3, game 4 on the road. Like, I was just talking to myself into like the minute that Bam's on the floor, Jokic has like Max Strus guarding, like, or like Cody Zeller. That's just chewed up food. Like
Jokic to score 50 plus in an NBA Finals game, 25-1. Any player to score 55 plus in a Finals game, 55 is a lot. 30-1. I don't know about that. I do like the Jokic 50 plus. I mean, at 25-1.
The only thing that sucks with Jokic though is how many times does he have those like 40 points, 13 assists type things where like it just feels like
it's 25-1 for a reason.
Oh, I know. I just I get that.
I didn't go this far down on the milestones. This is pretty exciting. Well, I stopped at like 5-1.
to Will's point, while you guys were talking about him earlier in the show, I was pretty silent because I was trying to find these things. Like it is funny how they are kind of tough to navigate their site, but
too many moving parts.
Too many different UX design tips. Like FanDuel, the fact that FanDuel has a white background already makes it easier to look at. So just throwing that out there.
Make it so we can't miss it. I mean, how many of these people aren't going to spend 10 minutes looking for stuff? I mean, people don't know what they want till they see it.
That's why you got to tune into the live stream, bro. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. I was gonna say with one that I had circled that is so gross but kind of feels right. Where I saw earlier this morning was Bam to average 10 rebounds in the finals. It was like plus 225. I hate Bam and his rebounds, but at the same time, if we think he's going to have to play extended minutes and just be out there, it's a little bit interesting because, I mean, one good rebounding game could because it's not 10 a game, it's just an average 10. So I was looking at that one a little bit, but
that's not bad. How about this one? How about this one? Jokic to record a triple-double in each NBA Finals game. So if you think it only goes 4 or 5, that makes it easier. 18-1 to get a triple-double in every game. Is that reasonable? Is that worth a bet?
Man.
I mean, if we think they don't have an answer for him and they're going to have to double him, that opens up the assists. I know, but you don't have to worry about the points.
I think I'm just like on this tip of like he's so much bigger than everybody, even if it's offensive rebounds, even if it's like just the fact that he's there, like I said, get 2 points guaranteed. I just think he takes that on in a finals game where maybe a few other guys tighten up, etc. Like I just don't see him tightening up. And even if he did, he's not missing little baby hooks from 2 feet away. I just see him scoring so much. He hasn't historically gotten the assists against the Heat for whatever reason either. They don't give up a ton of assists, obviously, but that's the part that scares me is the assist for him at this point.
I like and this is not any fun, but I like Caleb Martin to record 10 rebounds in any finals game.
Because even
he's
money,
playing 40 bucks.
That was my very first one, and I was like, yeah, why not? Like that he just had 15 and 10 back to back. It's even money at this point, but not bad because you get it for every game. How do you guys feel about that? Like the difference between, because here's one I was looking at is like Jokic to record 20 rebounds in a game is plus 275. But then I looked at what game one's alternate rebound for 20 plus for him was, and it's 950. So like maybe I just play plus 950 at the alt rebounds every game rather than worry about the plus 275. You know, it's like if this game thing goes 4 or 5, I still win money if he does it one time out of those games. So
yeah.
Anything else for stat leaders? Jokic is the plus 115 to lead in points. Butler's plus 160. Murray plus 250. Adebayo 25 to 1.
I'm just gonna be on Jokic. I just like
there's nothing, right?
I really think too, like it sounds like kind of lame or stupid to say it, but it's Jokic or Jimmy. Like even if you talk about like, you know, the Murrays and all that stuff, like I feel like they can have this one big game, but to average for a whole series, especially if it goes like like even if it's 4 or 5 or 6 games, just doesn't feel like there's value. I mean, maybe
especially
if they're really
shooters
juicy.
too. Their shooters are not as efficient as the two, not getting to the line as much as the two.
And that's why there's no value either in the like player with the highest single game to me, because it's like what's the ceiling for anybody outside the top 3? Because the top 3 is 50 points. The ceiling for the other guys is like 35. You know,
makes sense.
Assist leader Jokic is minus 20,000. So Butler 14 to 1, Murray 17 to 1, Lowry 100 to 1, Vincent 100 to 1. Anything?
Who has 20 G's to make 100 on him?
Then he rolls an ankle in game 1, and you're out.
That's the only way he loses.
They should let you bet a field prop. Give you Jokic first. Field if you're going to lay minus 20,000.
Yeah.
And how is it minus 20,000? The comeback's 14 to 1. I mean, that's so you're 1 to 200 on one angle, then you're 14 to 1 on the second guy. That's to me.
Yeah.
And then for rebounds, it's just as ridiculous. Jokic is minus 20,000 to lead in rebounds. Bam 7 to 1, Butler 40 to 1, Porter 50 to 1, Gordon 80 to 1, Murray.
Like, don't even put those up if you're not gonna have fair odds right the board.
If you're not gonna take this seriously, don't put odds.
Right.
What do you guys like about this? Like, because them to win the series, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's not worth it. Talk about like minus 380 or whatever at this point. I've been hitting them all over the place, but not at this rate. So like, is it an exact thing? Like, do you see I think Miami wins at least one at home, to be honest. I think we were talking about not necessarily feeling the sweep as much, but the like Denver minus 1.5 at minus 160 on DraftKings, which is better than the other books. Like, I love that. There's so much. Sweep 1 or 2 is what I feel strongly about. I just don't see it going 7. So
I'm going to take it on Pinnacle at minus 1.5. When we get done with this, it's minus 167. I think DraftKings moved since we started this show.
They opened 130 Monday night, right after the series. It was the first thing I bet.
Minus 1.5, right? Yeah.
Monday night, I was sitting at the crib drinking alcohol. Wasn't thinking about pricing.
Dude, you're so cool.
I'm saying like I wouldn't have anything in my hands except a beer. Like I'm not smart like you, Will. Like I'm not first to the market. I'm the guy who wakes up and is like, wow, I lost 30 cents of value, huh?
Yeah.
I'm married to the game. Yeah, I mean, it feels like Denver in 5. A sweep feels disrespectful. It doesn't feel impossible. I think the scenarios. We'll just start with tomorrow. I think it's a really tough spot for Miami. They're tired. They're in altitude. Yeah. Denver's rested. And here's the thing: Miami's been playing from in front all these series. They won game 1 against Milwaukee. They won game 1 against the Knicks. They won game 1 and 2 against Boston. They haven't been, if Denver jumps on them in game 1 and wins, then all of a sudden game 2 is almost a must win. If you're down 2-0. Yeah. I just feel like it goes Denver gets the first 2 at home. They figure out a way to get at least a split in Miami, and then they finish them in 5. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a sweep. I don't think it. I'd be more inclined. Let me ask it this way: more likely it goes 4, or more likely Denver in 6?
More likely 4.
Oh, so? Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
What are you
take your shoes off?
I'm trying to do some math. Probably more likely Denver in 6.
Okay. That's what I think too, dude. I think don't put the disrespect on Jimmy and the boys. Like
no, I was doing math wrong. And I was like, wait, let me bring that.
Remember, too, Butler rolled his ankle in the Boston game. It was kind of a subtle thing. Remember, it was
Yeah,
like, who knows if it was serious or not, but
I do.
the game was so out of hand that it didn't really matter. But that's the thing too, where they're just limping in. They're tired.
They are,
Tough
but like
spots tomorrow.
there's a level of like I think that the what should happen and like what I expect to happen is Denver dominates and it wins in 5, but like I'm definitely not counting out Jimmy and the guys. Like it would have to be an anomaly, but they are an anomalous team. They're just doing stuff that I can't explain. And maybe we give Spo the MVP for the first time if they win this series because it's going to take some crazy Spo stuff. Which people were saying that like if he lost Game 7, some people were like maybe he gets fired, and I'm like, but then
not a
every other
chance.
team, every other team in the league fires their coach to hire him, so that's dumb. But like at this point for what we see in this series, like I'm just not. I am gonna at least hedge against Miami doing something I'm not expecting by taking the -1.5 or like take Denver in 5 or 6, and both of those are plus money enough to win you still like 1.5 to 1.
I still have my Miami NBA Finals tickets.
Yeah,
which sucks. It just sucks that I can't hedge. Like realistically,
I know you got to write it out.
How about just the 8.5? Where are you guys with the 8.5? There are some 9s. I thought FanDuel had a 9 earlier.
I like 8. I like 8.5 as well. Minus. But what I think would be a better strategy, which could ultimately not play out correctly, but what all could be a better strategy is trying to play Denver second half. Like that's when you think the fatigue and everything would set in. Let me see what the pre-second half line is set up for those who are impatient.
I just worry Denver gets up by 18 at the half or up 12, whatever at the half, and then they just it's a fuck around game in the second half.
And that scares me, right?
Yes.
But the other thing that scares me too is like the way that the Heat do this actually is they go down in the second quarter and they're losing at halftime. Right. They give up 60 points a game in the first half in the playoffs. 60 points per game, and they're in the finals in the first half. And like then in the third quarter, they just come out of nowhere and just blitz you. And that's just my fear as well for the just like second half bet right now. You know,
I've lost too much money on betting against them in the second half, and then they just destroy me.
Yes.
How about Denver? I think Denver's going to get their points here. 114.5 total for Denver. I like the over. To me, that's my favorite matchup of like when you're talking about Nuggets offense versus Heat defense, Heat offense versus Nuggets defense. I think the Nuggets offense is going to have a lot of success against the Heat defense.
And not only that, the reason I like the 114.5, like you were saying, Will, I actually hit that at -105 because it's -105 on FanDuel, which I love that price. They're going to push the pace. They've got 19 fast break points at home per game in this playoffs. And if you look at the game ones, they would have gotten 115 against the Timberwolves, but their game was over in the third quarter and nobody had to try anymore. Game 1 in the next 2 series, it was 125 versus Phoenix, 132 versus LA. Right, like they were just blitzing them in game 1. They're at home. They get way more fast break points. They get points off turnovers. They hit more threes. They just come out going bananas in game 1s, and I think that's what we see in this one too.
Plus, they probably know Miami's tired and say, "Hey, let's push. Let's really, expose how tired they are, and let's push the pace and let's wear them out here."
I mean, that's the best way to do it too, because we kind of hinted out yesterday that these are two polar opposite teams in terms of how they play. So Denver is just so much used. I mean, like he can play with pace, but them playing with pace is a lot different than Denver playing with pace. If they're smart, they're just going to do it the whole series.
They don't have anybody on their bench either, right? Like who are he going to bring in if they play too fast? So
I kind of like this. Let me know what you guys think of this. Denver to win by 5 or more and over 2. Oh no, I don't like that. Never mind. I thought it was over 115 points for Denver, but it's the full game, which I think goes over. But if I'm betting on a team to cover, I want them to blow them out. I don't care how many points the other team scores.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll have plenty more to say on this tomorrow, the day of the game. So wanted to cover a little bit. Let's talk a little hockey with GriffyBets. But appreciate it. Brian, Brad, Josh, are you guys all back tomorrow?
Yes. I'm out tomorrow.
Josh isn't because he's not really, dedicated as we are. But
Josh was here on Memorial Day.
Wait, wasn't I here on Monday, Memorial Day? What were you getting your?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
You were in a pool playing cool basketball. I'm pretty sure.
You know what's funny? I forgot this is that week I missed the show, so that was ill time for me.
Bad time,
bro.
All right, boys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's talk a little NHL. started to get some drama in the Stars Knights series. The Knights finish it off in emphatic fashion Monday night. It was too bad they played the basketball game and the hockey game at the same time, even though both were blowouts. But GriffyBets is back. Griffy, what's going on, man?
Hey, Will, how we doing?
Always good, man. Did you go into Game 6 thinking we get a Game 7?
I definitely thought Dallas was had all the momentum. Maybe that was a little biased from watching the Celtics club all the way back to Game 7, but I certainly thought they were going to make it a game. I had a pretty rough last 2 days of that Western Conference Final. Couldn't buy a winning bet, but so I'm just glad it's behind me. Excited for this next one.
Yeah, the home ice didn't hold up really. I think it was the road team that won 3 out of the last 4 in that series. But we get an interesting final, if nothing else. Vegas and Florida. Vegas is minus 135 for Game 1, total 5.5. Vegas is minus $1.25 for the series. I guess I'll just start Game 1 here. Any initial thoughts? Anything you bet here? Vegas, a small favorite at home in Game 1.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think I talked about it last week. Man, does this schedule work out perfectly for me? I had mentioned I'm going on my bachelor party tomorrow morning. So the fact I can do all my research now and then lock in my Game 1 bets and not worry about Game 2 till I'm back worked out just beautifully. So needless to say, I've been doing a lot of research to get my ducks in a row before I head out tomorrow. But yeah, I got a couple different – I did put in a couple bets, but – in terms of just the overall series, it's hard to not like Florida at this price. I feel like the biggest concern is – so, I mean, they're here because of Sergei Bobrovsky, their goalie. They haven't played since last Wednesday, so by the time they hit the ice, that's a 9-day layoff, which does have me a little nervous. I mean, does the momentum stall there for the guy and the team? It's going to be interesting to find out because we talked about it before, Florida has this team of destiny vibe to them. And at plus money, I do prefer them to win here. I'm just a little nervous about the layoff. I mean, it's not like, Vegas can have 5-6 days off as well, but I don't know. That's just a really long break when you're rolling to then pick it back up for the Stanley Cup final. So I just don't know how to balance that. So I'm going to stay away from a winner in Game 1. And I'm hoping Bobrovsky just picks up where he left off because he's been awesome to watch.
Any lean on the total 5.5?
I feel like I'd probably go the over in Game 1, expecting a little looser, and then it slowly tightens up a bit. That's what I was doing last conference final. Vegas. I think Vegas has gone over in all 3 of their Game 1s now. So I would lean there. I was looking at a couple point props, which obviously can't hit unless some goals are scored. So I would probably lean the over, but then try and keep it a little tight beyond that because I do expect. Aiden Hill, Vegas goalie, has been pretty solid as well. So I do think goals are going to be at a premium throughout this thing.
Any player props you want to get to before we go into some of these series prices, exact series outcome, anything you want to that you've hit?
Sure. So first bet I put in was Alexander Barkov over 2.5 shots, which is even money right now on DraftKings and MGM. A couple reasons for that. First one, obviously, was nice to see Barkov has gone over that number in 6 of his last 8 against Vegas. And man, by the way, that guy loves piling up the points. He's got 12 points in his last 8 against Vegas. So I like that history. I like that he's much better on the road, over in 3 straight and 5 of his last 6. And the kicker was sort of positional data, which is a little more, it's not the same as some other sports, especially with forwards, being so interchangeable. But Vegas against centers has been pretty generous. Last round, we saw Hintz and Domi and Johnston all have some really big shot games from the center position on the 3 top lines. And then the round before that, McDavid, Draisaitl consistently were getting 3 or 4. So Barkov, top line center, seen a little bit of a vulnerability there. So that kind of put it over the edge. So that was the first play I put in. Definitely liking that one.
All right. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
So this one's a little bit more sadistic. I should probably organize these numbers. So I decided to just take a little trip back the last 2 rounds and see where have these teams been allowing goals And by that, I mean, which are they allowing goals to the first line, second line, third, et cetera, power play. So I just looked back on the last 2 rounds for both these teams, and I learned a couple things. And one that stood out was Florida. 25% of the goals they've allowed the last 2 rounds have come from the opposing fourth line, which is crazy. Another 25% have come from the power play. So I kind of worked backwards from there, and I was just writing down guys that kind of fell into those buckets. And Nicholas Roy, that's a crazy name I have not bet. He's on Vegas's fourth line and their second power play, which is definitely not a resume I would typically back. I'd rather go for a guy on the top line usually, but seeing Florida seem to have some issues with Carolina's fourth line last round, and Roy, then I click into Props at Cash. Guy's got 8 points in his last 12 games, and he's actually scored a goal in 2 straight against Florida. I got his point at plus 125. His goal is plus 400. It's actually probably better on FanDuel. I didn't check. That just was to work backwards and be like, okay, I'm going to write down Nicholas Roy, but there's no way he even has a line. Then to see he has a line and he's been producing, I'm taking a crazy little shot on him at plus 125.
All right.
That's all I got. So
how about correct series score here? These are fun. You get some fun payouts. You can have just a big picture view of the series here. Vegas to sweep is 12-1. Vegas in 5 is plus 5-1. Vegas in 6 also 5-1. Vegas in 7 plus 425. That's really the short shot here. They're telling you they think it's going to be a close series. Florida to sweep 13-1. That's the longest shot. Florida in 5 is 7-1. Florida in 6 is plus 450. Florida in 7 is plus 550. Anything jump out to you? Anything? If you had a $100 free bet, how would you use it on any of these?
I feel like it's the same answer as it was last round, is that I'm just a sucker for the game 7s, even though we didn't get them. I don't know. I'd probably lean Florida in 7. I would love a 7-game series. I would love a game 7 to decide it all. So I would lean in that direction probably. There are some fun series long props, not just number of games. I just found over 1.5 overtime games at plus 145. That seems like a really fun one. I mean, both these teams, they both had at least 2 overtime games last round alone. That just at plus money, I don't know. That seems like a fun one just to root on for some close games.
About to score most goals in the series. Eichel, the short shot, 6-1. Stone's there, 10-1. Carlson, 13-1. Our boy Marcus Salt, 7-1. Anything that you take a stab at most, you could bet most goals in the series, most points in the series. Anything jump out to you?
Yeah, so goals, I feel like with that, it's, do you bet on most goals or do you just bet on Conn Smythe winner? And it's not like Conn Smythe is just a final MVP. It's the whole postseason. And I feel like, if you like Eichel to lead the series in goals, it's not perfect, but it's reasonable to expect if he's leading them in goals and scoring that much, Vegas is probably bringing it home, at which point, his Conn Smythe odds might make a little more sense, which is, I think, plus 475. So I would almost rather, if you do have a passionate read on somebody, go with that. Matthew Tkachuk is actually the favorite to lead the series in goals. He had 3 game-winning goals in four games last round. If that guy puts together a couple more OT winners, I think he's going to win Conn Smythe over Bobrovsky. And so that's kind of how I would jump into that market. I'd rather pivot to just Conn Smythe.
Oh yeah, I don't know why they did it. Bet Rivers on their site. Eichel was the short shot at 6-1, but I guess they did it by team. Now Tkachuk, you scroll down, he's plus 425, and yeah, I guess they did it team then team, not just usually they go lowest to highest. So that was my next question. Anything, if you had nothing in pocket for Conn Smythe, anything is worth adding at this point?
Well, I do. A couple weeks ago, me and you locked in March or so Conn Smythe at plus 3,600. That's looking pretty good right now. He's down to plus 700. Eichel's still the favorite, but Marchessault's just got 1 less point than Eichel. He's got 3 more goals. If that guy keeps scoring, And as an original Golden Knight, I am all for that ticket winning for us.
That would be beautiful.
I actually just finished an article kind of looking at Conn Smythe. If you think Vegas is going to win, I think Marchessault is the best value. If you think Florida's going to win, I do lean at being Bobrovsky, who's the understandable and deserved favorite right now. I feel like if they win, it is shutting down this Vegas offense, and I could see a ton of shots on both sides, which is only going to make Bobrovsky's stats look even better. And he's been just awesome. So if you like Florida, I'd definitely lean Bobrovsky. If you like Vegas, I don't know. I don't think Eichel deserves to be such a prominent favorite over Marchessault, although I will say Eichel really likes getting points against Florida. Granted, some of that was with a different team, but he's got 12 points in his last 10 against Florida. If he's tacking on a point a game here, Marchessault does not have that history. Not that it's everything, but I found it interesting.
Plus, the narrative seems to be Bobrovsky. Like, I'd have a hard time, again, just following this. I'm more of an NBA guy, but, not as much of an NHL guy, but just somebody who's a casual fan who listens to all this stuff. It would seem hard for me that Florida wins and Bobrovsky doesn't win the award, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the only way he doesn't is if, we're getting a ton of 3-3,
right,
7-8 goal games where it's just the offenses and he regresses, which again, 9 days off when a guy's hot, that could cool him down. So,
right.
Yeah, if he starts letting in more goals, then obviously that's going to limit. And I just think if Tkachuk has more game winners, the fact he had 3 game winners in 4 games last series is crazy.
Yeah.
I think if he just tacks on 2 more overtime winners, which sounds, that's hard to do. But if he gets 2 overtime winners here and they win, I think
series clincher, something like that, I guess. Yeah.
To continually deliver
right,
some heroics would probably do it.
A lot of walk-off home runs for him.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm excited. I think a decent amount of guys look good for shots. I think I almost would rather take your shots, no pun intended, on some bigger parlays at the beginning of the series, because I remember last year, Tampa, Colorado came really close to some life-changing parlays last Stanley Cup final. And then, the last game really tightened up as it goes on. Defenders, forwards are going to block more shots. People are looking for better quality looks. So if you are going to take some, a chance on a big parlay, responsibly, of course, I say load it up in one of these first couple games.
Well, Griffey, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the finals. We'll be talking to you along the way. Hopefully we get a long competitive finals and we'll win some money while we're at it. But good luck with your bets. Have fun at your bachelor party. We appreciate everyone listening. So we'll be back tomorrow, talk about game 1 of the finals, a little bit of everything tomorrow. So thank you to Pickett Sports. Thank you to Sleeper Picks. Griffey, appreciate it, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, man.